The academy bully marked a human small girl. The instructor stopped the fight too late. Zara Chen stood at the window of her small room and looked out at the 3 moons of planet Veloris. She was 12 years old. She was also the smallest person at the Galactic Unity Academy. Most alien students were twice her height. Some were 3 times her size, but Zara had earned her place here. She had solved math problems that confused teachers who had lived for hundreds of years. She was the youngest human ever accepted to this school. The academy was famous across the galaxy. Students came from 100 different worlds to study here. They learned science, history, combat, and diplomacy. The goal was to create leaders who could bring peace between species, but peace was hard to find in the hallways. Zara pulled on her gray uniform and checked her reflection. Brown skin, black hair cut short, and eyes that her mother always said were too serious for a child. She touched the small Earth flag sewn on her sleeve. There were only 8 humans at the academy. They were the newest species to join galactic society. Many aliens still did not trust them. She walked to the dining hall for breakfast. The room was huge, with tables designed for beings of all shapes and sizes. Zara found the human table in the corner. Marcus, a 17-year-old from Australia, waved her over. "How did you sleep?" he asked. "Fine," Zara said. She did not mention the nightmares about home, about the car accident that killed her parents, about her grandmother who had raised her and pushed her to apply to the academy. "The gravity here still feels wrong," Marcus said. "Too light." Earth had stronger gravity than Veloris. This made humans denser and stronger than they looked, but it did not make them big. Zara ate her breakfast quickly. She had a theoretical physics class in 30 minutes. She was excited. Today they would discuss faster-than-light travel theory. She had some ideas she wanted to share. She left the dining hall and walked through the curved hallways. The academy was built like a spiral shell, with classrooms at the center and living quarters on the outer rings. Zara liked the design. It reminded her of the seashells she collected as a child on the beaches of Malaysia. She turned a corner and stopped. 3 Dromaxi blocked the hallway. They were reptilian creatures, scaled and muscled from a planet with gravity even stronger than Earth. The largest one stood in the center. His scales were dark green, almost black. His eyes were yellow with slit pupils. He was Krathful, a final-year student. He was also the person Zara feared most at the academy. "Little soft skin," Krathful said. His voice was deep and rough. "Walking alone again." Zara kept her face calm. "I am going to class." "Class can wait." Krathful stepped closer. His 2 friends laughed. "I have been watching you, human. You think you are smart. You think you belong here, but you are nothing. Your species crawled out of the mud only yesterday. You have no right to stand with true civilizations." Zara said nothing. She had learned that responding only made things worse. "On my world, the weak serve the strong," Krathful continued. "This is the natural law. You humans have forgotten this because you had no predators left to teach you, but I can teach you." He reached out with one clawed hand and grabbed Zara's arm. His grip was like iron. She did not cry out, though the pressure was painful. "Today I will mark you," Krathful said. "Do you know what that means?" Zara knew. She had studied every species at the academy before arriving. The Dromaxi had a tradition called marking. When a stronger warrior claimed a weaker one as property, they carved their clan symbol into the flesh. It was legal under Dromaxi law, and the academy respected all cultural practices, even the violent ones. "I see you understand," Krathful said. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Good. Then you know that after today you belong to me. You will serve my clan for 20 years. This is our way." Zara's heart was beating fast, but her mind was working faster. She had read everything about Dromaxi culture. She knew things that Krathful probably thought she did not know. He pulled out a ceremonial claw. It was curved and sharp, made from the fang of a great beast from his homeworld. This was the tool used for marking. The cuts it made would scar permanently. "Hold still," Krathvel said. "If you fight, I will hurt you more than necessary." Zara did not hold still. She pulled back, trying to free her arm, but his grip was too strong. His friends grabbed her other arm and her shoulder. She was trapped. Krathvel pressed the claw to her left shoulder, just below the collarbone. Then he began to cut. The pain was sharp and hot. Zara clenched her teeth. She did not scream. She would not give him that satisfaction. Blood ran down her arm, soaking into her gray uniform. The claw moved in precise lines, carving a symbol into her skin. It was the mark of Krathvel's clan, 3 curved lines crossing a circle. When he finished, he stepped back and admired his work. "Now you are mine, little human. The mark proves it. Go to your teachers. Go to the council. They cannot help you. This is legal. This is tradition." His friends released her. They were all laughing now. Zara looked down at her shoulder. Blood was still flowing from the wound. She could feel it dripping down her arm. The pain was constant, burning. Then she looked up at Krathvel. Something in her eyes made his laughter fade slightly. "You should have studied humans more carefully," Zara said. Her voice was quiet but steady. "You should have learned what the marking ritual truly means under your own law." Krathvel frowned. "What are you talking about?" "The marking is a challenge," Zara said. "By your own traditions, the marked one has the right to fight back. If they win, the marker becomes their property instead. The duel continues until one side submits or cannot continue, and only the one who was marked can end the fight." Krathvel's yellow eyes widened. "You would not dare. I will kill you." Zara smiled. It was a cold smile, a smile that had no happiness in it. "You made a mistake," she said. "You thought I was weak because I am small. You thought I would cry and beg and accept my place. But you do not understand humans. You do not understand what we are." She wiped blood from her arm and looked at her red fingers. "That was foolish," she said. At that moment, Instructor Valthine entered the hallway. She was a Silurian, tall and thin with silver skin and 4 arms. She was a veteran of 3 wars and one of the most respected teachers at the academy. She saw the blood. She saw the mark. She began to run toward them, shouting for them to stop. But she was already too late. Zara moved before Krathvel could react. She did not run away. She ran toward him. This surprised him. Every species in the galaxy had some form of retreat instinct. When faced with a larger predator, creatures ran or froze or submitted. This was basic biology. This was how survival worked. But humans had evolved differently. On Earth, humans were not the strongest animals. They were not the fastest. They did not have claws or fangs or armor. What they had was something stranger. They had the ability to keep going when every other creature would stop. They could run for days without rest. They could survive wounds that would kill most beings. And they had minds that refused to accept defeat. Zara's grandmother had taught her to fight. After Zara's parents died, her grandmother decided that her granddaughter would never be helpless. She hired teachers. Zara learned boxing, judo, and salat. She trained every day for 3 years before coming to the academy. She was not strong enough to hurt Krathvel with a normal punch. She knew this, so she did not try. Instead, she went for his eyes. Her small fist shot toward his face. Krathvel raised his arm to block, but Zara was already changing direction. Her fingers jabbed at the soft tissue around his left eye. The scales there were thinner, more sensitive. Krathvel roared in pain and swung his arm. The blow caught Zara in the chest and threw her backward. She hit the wall hard. For a moment she could not breathe. But she stood up. Instructor Valthine was shouting now. "Stop this immediately, both of you." Zara ignored her. By Dromaxy law, the marked one controlled the duel. Only Zara could end it, and she had no intention of ending it. Krathvel's friends moved to help him, but Valthine stepped between them. "You cannot interfere in a marking duel. This is the law your own people created. Stand back." The Dromaxi hesitated. They looked at their leader, who was touching his eye and growling. "I do not need help to crush an insect," Krathful said. "Stay out of this." He charged at Zara. His claws were extended. Each one was as long as her fingers and sharp enough to cut through metal. Zara waited until the last moment. Then she dropped low and rolled between his legs. As she passed under him, she struck the back of his knee. It was a joint, a weak point where the scales did not fully protect the flesh. Krathful stumbled but did not fall. He spun around, his tail whipping through the air. It caught Zara across the back and sent her crashing into the floor. Pain exploded through her body. She felt something crack in her chest, a rib, maybe two. Every breath hurt. But she stood up. Krathful stared at her. "Why do you not stay down? You cannot win this. You must know this." Zara spat blood onto the floor. "You do not understand," she said. "Winning is not the only reason to fight." She came at him again. By now, other students had gathered in the hallway. They watched in silence. Many had never seen a human fight before. They had heard stories, of course. Humans were called persistence predators. They were said to hunt by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. But hearing stories was different from seeing it happen. Zara was small and bleeding and clearly outmatched, but she would not stop. She targeted Krathful's joints, his elbows, his knees, the places where his scales met and left gaps. She could not hurt him badly with any single strike, but she was not trying to end the fight quickly. She was trying to last. Krathful hit her again and again. He threw her into walls. He slashed her with his claws. Her uniform was torn and red with blood. Her left arm was hanging wrong, probably dislocated. A cut above her eye was bleeding into her vision. But every time she fell, she stood up. 5 minutes passed, then 6, then 7. Instructor Valthine watched with growing horror. She had seen many battles in her long life. She had never seen anything like this. The human child should have surrendered long ago. Any rational creature would have surrendered. But Zara kept fighting with the same cold focus she had shown from the start. And something was changing. Krathful was slowing down. His species was built for short, explosive combat. They were ambush predators on their homeworld. They attacked with overwhelming force, killed quickly, and then rested. They were not designed for long fights. Humans were. "What is wrong with you?" Krathful gasped. He was breathing hard now. His swings were slower, less precise. "Why will you not submit? I have beaten you a dozen times." Zara wiped blood from her eye. "Submission," she said, "is not something my species does." She attacked again. This time, her strike to his knee made him stumble. He dropped to one leg for a moment before pushing himself back up, but he was clearly tired. The watching students began to whisper among themselves. A Valorian scholar, ancient and wise, spoke quietly to his companion. "I have read about this. The humans call it adrenaline. Their bodies produce chemicals that block pain and increase endurance, and their minds can override their survival instincts. They can choose to fight when every part of their biology tells them to stop." His companion, a small Nixari with fur like silver wire, shook her head. "That sounds like madness." "Perhaps," the Valorian said, "or perhaps it is what allowed them to survive on one of the deadliest planets in the galaxy. Their world tried to kill them constantly. Whether animals, disease, even the land itself. They had to become something that simply would not give up." At minute 8, Zara landed a solid hit to Krathful's throat. He gagged and stepped back, his hands going to his neck. At minute 9, she used his moment of weakness to strike his knee again. This time, something gave. He roared in pain and fell to the ground. But he was not finished. He grabbed Zara's leg and pulled her down. They struggled on the floor, his greater size and strength still dangerous. He got his hands around her throat and began to squeeze. Zara's vision started to go dark. She could feel her lungs burning for air. Any other creature would have panicked, would have clawed uselessly at his hands, would have submitted to save their life. Zara reached up and pressed her thumbs into his eyes. Krathvel screamed and released her. He rolled away, covering his face. Zara gasped for breath and crawled to her feet. She was barely standing now. Her body was a map of injuries. She had lost a lot of blood. She should have been unconscious. But she was still standing. And Krathvel, for the first time, looked afraid. "This is not possible," he whispered. "You should be dead. What are you?" Zara limped toward him. "I am human," she said, "and I am not finished yet." The hallway had become crowded with watchers. Students from every species had stopped what they were doing to witness the fight. Teachers stood at the edges of the crowd, unable to interfere. The marking duel was protected by law. Only Zara could end it. And Zara had no plans to end it. Krathvel pushed himself to his feet. His injured knee made him unsteady. His eyes were red and swollen from Zara's attack, but he was still dangerous. He was still larger, stronger, and more heavily armed with natural weapons. "You are making a mistake," he said. His voice was rougher now, tired. "Even if you survive this, you will be crippled. Your life will be ruined, all for stupid pride." Zara circled him slowly. Her left arm was useless, hanging at her side. She kept her right hand raised, protecting her face. Blood dripped from her wounds onto the floor, leaving a trail wherever she walked. "This is not about pride," she said. "This is about teaching you something your species has forgotten." "What?" Krathvel asked. "The weak are not always weak." She attacked. Her right fist drove into his damaged knee. He buckled, dropping to one leg again. Before he could recover, she kicked the side of his head. Her foot connected with his jaw. It was not a powerful kick, but it was aimed precisely. It rattled his brain inside his skull. Krathvel swung blindly. Zara stepped back, just barely avoiding his claws. She was learning his patterns now. 10 minutes of fighting had taught her how he moved, how he attacked, where he left openings. Her mind was cataloging everything, finding weaknesses she could exploit. This was another human trait the galaxy did not fully understand. Humans were pattern hunters. Their brains were designed to find connections, to learn from experience, to adapt in real time. What seemed like chaos to Krathvel was actually a constant flow of information to Zara. Every swing he made told her something. Every movement revealed a flaw. At minute 11, Zara landed 3 hits in a row, one to his knee, one to his throat, one to the nerve cluster under his arm. Krathvel dropped his guard for just a moment. Zara jumped. She grabbed his head with her good arm and wrapped her legs around his neck. Her weight was not much, but it was enough to throw him off balance. He stumbled backward, crashing into the wall. She squeezed, cutting off the blood flow to his brain. Krathvel thrashed. He reached up and pulled at her, tearing her uniform, scratching her skin. But Zara held on. Her grandmother had taught her this technique. It was called a choke. It did not require strength. It required position and the will to hold on. Humans had a lot of will. Krathvel's movements became slower, more desperate. He slammed his back against the wall, crushing Zara between his body and the hard surface. Something else broke inside her. She felt it go, felt the sharp pain that meant serious damage. But she did not let go. Finally, he fell to his knees. "Submit," Zara said. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Say the words." Krathvel tried to speak, but no sound came out. He was fading, losing consciousness. Zara released him. He collapsed face first on the floor, gasping for breath. She rolled off him and lay on her back, staring at the ceiling. Every part of her body screamed in pain. She could taste blood in her mouth. Her vision was going gray at the edges. But she was not finished. Slowly, painfully, she got to her feet. It took her 3 tries. Each time she fell, the crowd held their breath. Each time she stood again, they exhaled in disbelief. Zara limped to where Krathvel lay. He was conscious now, but he was not moving. He looked up at her with something new in his yellow eyes. It was not anger anymore. It was not hatred. It was fear. Say the words, Zara said again. Submit to me and this ends. Krathvel's friends pushed forward. They could not stand to watch their leader humiliated by a tiny human child. They would break the law and face the consequences later. But before they could reach the fighters, other figures stepped into their path. The 7 other human students at the academy had moved through the crowd without anyone noticing. They stood in a line between Krathvel's pack and the 2 fighters. Marcus was in the center, his arms crossed. The others stood beside him. None of them spoke. None of them made threats. They simply looked at the Dromaxi with flat, calm eyes. The Dromaxi stopped. They recognized something in those eyes, something ancient and dangerous. These humans were pack creatures. They protected their own, and they were willing to fight all of them right here and right now. The galaxy had many predator species, but most of them were solo hunters. They fought alone, competed with their own kind, formed only temporary alliances. Humans were different. Humans formed bonds that could not be broken. They called it family. They called it tribe. They called it friendship. What it meant was simple. Hurt one human and you faced them all. Krathvel's friends looked at each other. They looked at the human students. Then they stepped back and did nothing. In the center of the hallway, Zara stood over her fallen enemy. Her blood had formed a pool around her feet. Her body was barely holding together, but her eyes were bright and focused. "Submit," she said for the 3rd time. Krathvel closed his eyes. His voice came out as a croak. "I submit. I yield to you. By the laws of my people, I am yours." The words echoed through the silent hallway. Zara nodded. Then she reached down with her bloody hand and pressed her thumb to his forehead, leaving a red mark on his scales. "I accept your submission," she said. She spoke in Dromaxi now, perfectly pronounced. "You are clan-bound to me. For 20 years you will serve. This is your law. This is your tradition. I am simply following it." She had planned this. From the moment his claw touched her shoulder, she had known exactly what she was going to do. She had studied Dromaxi culture for months before coming to the academy. She had learned their language, their customs, their laws. She had prepared for this possibility, hoping she would never need to use what she learned. Krathvel had thought he was claiming a slave. Instead, he had given her a servant. Instructor Valthine finally moved forward. Her silver face was impossible to read. "This duel is concluded," she announced. "Medical teams will be summoned for both combatants. All students will return to their activities." Nobody moved. Valthine looked at the crowd. "Now," she said. The students began to scatter, but they kept looking back at the small human girl who had just defeated one of the most feared students at the academy. Zara swayed on her feet. Her vision was almost completely dark now. She had pushed her body far past its limits, but she had won. Marcus caught her as she fell. "We have you," he said quietly. "You are safe now." Zara smiled. It hurt to smile, everything hurt, but she smiled anyway. "I know," she whispered, and then she lost consciousness. Zara woke up in the medical bay 3 days later. The room was white and clean, filled with machines that beeped and hummed. Her body was wrapped in bandages and connected to tubes that fed medicine directly into her blood. A Helorian doctor stood beside her bed. He was blue-skinned with 6 fingers on each hand and eyes that changed color with his emotions. Right now, they were orange, which meant he was relieved. "You are awake," he said. "Good, we were worried." Zara tried to speak, but her throat was too dry. The doctor gave her water. "You had 4 broken ribs," he continued, reading from a screen. "A dislocated shoulder, a punctured lung, deep cuts on your arms, chest, and face, internal bleeding, a fractured cheekbone, damage to your spinal cord that we managed to repair." He looked at her with respect in his color-shifting eyes. "By all medical logic, you should have died. Your body continued fighting long after it should have shut down." "Humans are stubborn," Zara whispered. "Yes," the doctor said. "I am beginning to understand this." The door opened, and Instructor Valthine entered. She moved to the foot of Zara's bed and stood with her forearms clasped behind her back. "How do you feel?" she asked. Zara considered the question, "Like I was hit by a shuttle." "You were hit by something worse than a shuttle. Krathful has killed before. He was the strongest warrior in his clan before he came to the academy. You should not have been able to beat him." "But I did." Valthine nodded slowly. "Yes, you did." She paused. "The Academy Council has been discussing what happened. Many of them are upset. They believe humans are too dangerous to be allowed here." Zara felt a cold knot form in her stomach. "Are they going to expel me?" "No, they cannot. You broke no rules. Krathful initiated the marking ritual. You responded according to his own cultural laws. Everything you did was legal." Valthine's silver face showed something like amusement. "In fact, several council members pointed out that you showed remarkable knowledge of Dramaxi tradition, better knowledge than most Dramaxi students." "I like to be prepared." "Clearly." Valthine pulled a chair next to the bed and sat down. "I have been teaching at this academy for 40 years. I have seen students from 100 different worlds. I thought I understood what humans were. I was wrong." Zara said nothing. She waited. "When your species first made contact with the galaxy, we studied you carefully," Valthine continued. "We learned that you came from a high-gravity world with extreme weather and dangerous wildlife. We learned that you were persistent predators who hunted by running prey to death. We learned that you had unusual pain tolerance and healing abilities, but we thought these were simply physical traits. We did not understand what they meant." She leaned forward. "When I saw you fighting Krathful, I finally understood. Your species does not have a quit instinct. Other creatures know when they are beaten. They submit to survive. Humans do not have this. You can choose to keep fighting when your body is broken and your chances are zero. This is terrifying." "We call it determination," Zara said, "or stubbornness, depending on who you ask." "It is more than that. It is a form of madness. A useful madness, perhaps, but madness all the same." Valthine stood. "I will be honest with you, child. Many species at this academy now fear humans. They have seen what a 12-year-old girl can do when pushed. They are imagining what your soldiers could do, what your adults could do." "Good," Zara said. Valthine raised a silver eyebrow. "Good. My grandmother taught me something. She said that if you are small, you must make people afraid to touch you. Not because you will beat them, but because the cost of fighting you will be too high. That is how humans survived on Earth. Every predator that attacked us learned that we were not worth the trouble. And you wanted to teach this lesson to the academy." "No, I wanted Krathful to leave me alone." Zara looked at the ceiling. "But if others learned the same lesson, I will not complain." Valthine was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "Krathful has been asking to see you." This surprised Zara. "Why?" "He is clan-bound to you now. By Dramaxi law, he must present himself to his new master and receive instructions. He has been waiting outside the medical bay since you were brought here." Zara thought about this. She had beaten Krathful. She had humiliated him. Under his own culture, she now owned him for 20 years. She could make him do anything she wanted. She could treat him the way he had planned to treat her. But that was not who she was. "Send him in," she said. Valthine nodded and left. A few minutes later, Krathful entered the room. He looked different. His scales had lost their shine. His posture was bent, his head lowered. He moved slowly, favoring his injured knee. When he reached her bed, he knelt on the floor and pressed his forehead to the ground. "Master," he said, the word seemed to cause him physical pain. "I await your commands." Zara studied him for a long time. She thought about all the times he had tormented her, all the cruel words, all the threats, the pain of his claw cutting into her shoulder. "Look at me," she said. Krathful raised his head. His yellow eyes were dull with shame. "Do you know why I fought you?" Zara asked. "Because I marked you, because you had no choice. No, I fought you because I wanted you to understand something. Zara sat up, ignoring the pain that shot through her body. I am not weak. Humans are not weak. We are small, yes. We are soft. We do not have scales or claws or fangs, but we have something else. We have the will to fight when fighting is stupid, to keep standing when standing is impossible. You thought I was prey. I am not prey. I'm a predator wearing the skin of prey. Krathvul said nothing, but something changed in his eyes. The shame was still there, but there was also a flicker of respect. I am not going to mistreat you, Zara continued. I am not going to humiliate you or make you suffer. That would make me the same as you were. Instead, I am going to give you a job. You will protect the other humans at this academy. Anyone who threatens them will answer to you. Can you do this? Krathvul blinked. This was clearly not what he had expected. You want me to protect your people? Yes, you are strong. You are feared. Use that fear to keep my people safe. In exchange, I will treat you with respect and speak well of you to others. When the 20 years are over, you will leave my service with honor instead of shame. For a long moment, Krathvul did not respond. Then he lowered his head again. But this time, it was not the submission of a defeated enemy. It was the bow of someone accepting a worthy task. I will do this, he said. I will protect your people. I swear it on my clan and my blood. Zara nodded. Then we have an agreement. You may go. Krathvul stood. He walked to the door, then stopped and looked back. Why, he asked. Why show me mercy? I would not have shown you any. Zara smiled. Because humans are not just predators, she said. We are pack animals. We take care of those who belong to us. And as of 3 days ago, you belong to me. Krathvul stared at her for a long moment. Then he left without another word. Zara lay back in her bed and closed her eyes. Her body ached. Her wounds throbbed. She had a long recovery ahead of her. But she was smiling. She had come to the academy to learn and grow and prove that humans belonged among the stars. She had not expected to do it this way. But her grandmother always said that you could not control what life threw at you. You could only control how you responded. Zara had responded like a human. And the galaxy would never forget it. 5 years passed. Zara Chen stood at the front of the Grand Assembly Hall. She was 17 now, taller than before but still small compared to most species. The scar on her shoulder was visible above the collar of her formal uniform. She had never tried to hide it. It was a reminder of what she had survived, what she had overcome. Today was graduation day. The hall was filled with thousands of beings from across the galaxy. Diplomats, scholars, military leaders, family members. They had all come to watch the Academy's top students receive their honors. Zara was first in her class, first in theoretical physics, first in interspecies diplomacy, first in combat strategy. She had broken records that had stood for centuries. She had earned the respect of teachers who had taught for longer than humanity had existed as a species. And behind her, 2 steps back as tradition demanded, stood Krathvul. The Dromaxi warrior had changed over the years. His scales had regained their shine. His posture was straight and proud, but his pride now came from a different source. He was no longer feared as a bully. He was respected as a protector. True to his oath, Krathvul had guarded the human students at the academy. When a gang of Nexari had tried to corner a young human boy in his first year, Krathvul had stopped them. When a Valorian scholar had written papers claiming humans were intellectually inferior, Krathvul had challenged him to an academic debate and won. When an assassin had been sent to kill Zara in her 3rd year, Krathvul had found the assassin first. The galaxy had many names for him now, the human's shadow, the converted, the changed one, but he did not mind. He had found purpose in his service. He had found something like family. Headmaster Orenvex, an ancient being made of crystalline light, called Zara forward to receive her honors. She walked to the podium with steady steps. The crowd fell silent. Zara Chen of Earth, Orenvex said, his voice ringing through the hall like wind through chimes. You have achieved what no human has achieved before. You have excelled in every field. You have shown courage beyond measure. You have turned enemies into allies. The Academy honors you. He placed a medal around her neck. It was made of starlight, literally captured light from a dying star. It was the highest honor the Academy could give. Zara bowed, then she turned to face the crowd. I am asked to give a speech, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. I am told I should inspire the younger students, tell them they can achieve anything, the usual words. She paused. But I want to tell a different story. I want to tell you about the day I learned what humans really are. The crowd leaned forward. When I was 12 years old, a Dromaxi warrior marked me as his property. He cut his clan symbol into my shoulder with a ceremonial blade. He expected me to submit, to accept my place, to be the weak, soft creature he thought I was. Zara touched the scar on her shoulder. I did not submit. I fought him for 11 minutes. I was beaten, thrown, cut, and nearly killed. But I kept standing. I kept fighting. Not because I thought I could win. I fought because giving up was not something I knew how to do. She looked at Krathful, who stood at the edge of the stage. That Dromaxi warrior is now my closest companion. He has protected my people for 5 years. He has grown and changed and become something better than he was. And he did this not because I forced him, but because I showed him another way. Zara turned back to the crowd. The galaxy calls us many things: Deathworlders, persistence predators, stubborn, dangerous. These labels are not wrong, but they are not complete. She straightened her spine. We are humans. We come from a planet that tried to kill us every day. Our weather is violent. Our animals are deadly. Our history is written in blood and survival. We should not exist, but we do. We exist because we refuse to stop existing. Her voice grew stronger. And now we are here among the stars. We are the youngest species in galactic society. We have no ancient wisdom, no great fleets, no powerful weapons. All we have is ourselves, our determination, our stubborn refusal to accept defeat. She raised her head. But that is enough. That has always been enough. The hall was completely silent. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds watched this small human female with something like awe. I stand here today because a bully thought I was weak. He marked me as his property. He tried to break me. Instead, he taught the galaxy a lesson that will echo through history. Zara smiled. It was the same cold smile she had shown Krathful 5 years ago, but there was warmth in it now. Confidence, pride. Do not try to break humans. We do not break. We bend, we bleed, we fall, but we always get back up. And when we do, we are stronger than before. She stepped back from the podium. Thank you. The silence lasted 3 heartbeats. Then the hall exploded with sound. Applause, cheers, roars from species that did not know how to clap. The noise was overwhelming, crashing over Zara like a wave. She stood there, accepting it, feeling the weight of what she had accomplished. Later, after the ceremony, Krathful found her standing alone on a balcony overlooking the academy grounds. The 3 moons of Veloris were rising, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Good speech, he said. Zara smiled. Thank you. You could have told them about how you defeated me, made yourself look more impressive. I could have, but that was not the point. Krathful stood beside her, looking out at the moons. What was the point? To show them that humans do not create enemies. We create allies, even from those who hate us most. She glanced at him. You are proof of that. Krathful was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I still do not understand humans. Your species does not make sense. You are soft and weak and small, but you are also the most terrifying creatures I have ever met. Perhaps that is the point, Zara said. Perhaps we are terrifying because we are soft and weak and small. We have nothing to rely on except ourselves, so we made ourselves into something that nothing can stop. She looked up at the stars. My grandmother told me something before she died. She said that the universe does not care about us. It does not want us to survive, but we survive anyway. We survive through sheer stubbornness, through refusing to accept what the universe tells us is possible. Krathful nodded slowly, the species that does not know how to lose. Zara smiled. Yes, that is what we are. They stood together in silence, the human and the Dramexi, watching the moons rise over a world far from Earth. They were friends now, allies, family in a strange way. And somewhere in the academy, younger students told stories about the small human girl who had defeated a giant, who had turned an enemy into a protector, who had taught the galaxy that size and strength meant nothing compared to will. The story would spread, it would grow, it would become legend. But for Zara, the legend did not matter. What mattered was standing here, alive and strong and unbroken. What mattered was knowing that she had earned her place among the stars. Not despite being human. Because of it. The moons climbed higher, the stars burned bright, and Zara Chen, the small girl who had changed the galaxy, smiled at the darkness and did not look away. She was human. And that was enough.